Time is now 7 o'clock. The Cicero Town Council staff meeting is now in session. Ms. Gary, if you could please take roll.
Certainly. Joseph Cox.
Present.
Jacob Everett.
Present.
Dennis Johnson.
Present.
Eric Hayden. Emily Pearson.
Present.
All right, I would like under police to add Washington Street intersections for a discussion. Do we actually want to start with the budget, or do we want to start with fire? I think it'd make more sense to start
Whatever
with
you
fire.
guys want to do.
Does everybody agree that we start with fire? Or should we knock out police first so we can get them on their way if they want to go in parts?
Yeah, fire's gonna take quite a while,
Yeah.
I think, to
You
resolve.
guys good with that? Get the other stuff put. You sure you don't want to be here for that?
I'll sacrifice it.
Okay. All right. Well, then we're going to start with police. Jeff, you want to come up and talk about new rifles?
Alright. What we're trying to do is we got a couple different brands of rifles. Length is the biggest thing that we're going for right now. A couple years ago, we bought some that were like 11.5-inch barrels, so more tactical. They're easier to work with inside a building than the
Some
longer
are rifles or shotguns?
rifles.
Rifles. Okay.
Yeah, we kind of converted to rifles several years ago, got rid of all of our shotguns. So what we've got now is, I think we need 5 more rifles. Priced them out, they're about $1,200 a piece is what we are, got a quote on from Keesler's. It's where we've been buying our guns, handguns, off-duty, or duty guns, off-duty guns. They're typically the lowest price for us. So my question is tonight is to see if you guys would have a problem with us buying 6 new ones and then trading in 5 old ones. Got the money.
So that you're taking in 6 and 5 are going out. Are 5 more coming in to replace the 6 on
So
trade?
we got 6. We would order 6 new ones,
Okay.
and then we're going to get rid of 5.
Okay. So it's a net 1 addition.
Yes, and some of that's because some of our officers have their own gun. So when we've lost 2 officers here recently, and just trying to make sure we got them.
So is 12, do you get value from the trade-in? Is 12 your net price per each, 1,200 each?
No, that's just for the gun. And last time around, it just depends on who actually ends up, if we trade them in or if we get quotes from other local businesses. I think last time we did it, we got about 300 to 350.
So you'll get a little bit back.
Yeah. We should get back about 1,000 of it.
So we're looking at roughly $5,000.
Yeah.
Is it in your budget?
Yes, sir.
Thoughts?
If it's in his budget,
And if we get this, then all of our guns will be updated. Would have been updated in probably the last 3 years, I think, as far as duty guns, off-duty guns, and rifles. So we should be good to go for quite a while.
We're going to need it with that new Esther's development. Sorry. Dennis, thoughts? He hasn't answered. You never answered.
You just said Dennis.
I had to pass. You're taking too long. You good with it?
I'm good.
Jacob? Go for it.
Thank you.
Next up, the promotion.
So when we lost one of our officers earlier this year, he was our captain. Since then, we haven't replaced that position. At the current time, I don't think I want to replace the captain position, but I'd like to promote a fella to sergeant. Is what I'm looking for. And then I'm going to spread out the rest of the captain's duties amongst the 3 sergeants.
So we're not going to put a captain on, period, then?
Not right now. No.
What's that look like financially?
So we had approximately 35,000. This was a month or so ago when Rhonda gave me the information. About 35,000 left over from when he went on unpaid suspension. So there's plenty of money in there for this year to cover the promotion.
But I thought we already used that money to hire the new officer at a higher rate.
There's still enough in there.
Okay.
There was another officer left that he's replacing, Jensen.
Oh, I forgot, Jensen.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah. So and then we budgeted for the promotion for next year for 2026.
So that's in the numbers we have for the budget.
I'm sorry.
That's in the numbers we have for the budget.
Correct. Yeah. And then I found out to kind of string us out a little bit here when we talked about that the new law that came into effect with we may have to pay back the monies that a department used to train an officer if we were to hire him away from them within 3 years. The officer said they brought him when he was in the police academy during one of the classes in the last week that the instructors or their attorney for the ILEA told them that that law didn't apply to them for the fact that they were all hired prior to it. And so that shouldn't be an issue.
Okay, great. Anybody have any feedback, questions, concerns?
He knows how to run his department and what he needs. You got the money.
You guys good with it?
I mean, really, it's a savings, right?
I'm sorry?
It's really a savings.
It is.
moving forward.
It is. It's probably about 5,000 or so a year.
I'm good with it.
Yep.
Good, Dennis, good. Good there?
Thank you very much.
Hold on, don't sit down yet.
Oh, I know. I'm ready.
We already talked a little bit about this, so there have been some chatter about
seen
the
that.
intersections on Washington Street. I believe it was Washington and Buckeye and Buckeye and, was it Pearl?
Somebody that lives either east or west of that intersection was talking about it, yeah.
So I personally have noticed that it's a little precarious with getting people to stop there. People approach that really fast, and I think it's probably being compounded too with the 3 new Airbnbs right there, new people coming into town constantly, and then there's more traffic off the main drag because of the construction going on.
Sorry, Joe, where are you? Washington and what?
Washington and Buckeye. So essentially, you've got cross traffic does not stop there.
North
but-
to south, it doesn't stop.
Correct. But
East
then,
to west, it does.
then if you go 1 block, it's reversed and it stops north to south, but not east to west. So I personally, sometimes even when I'm coming up on it, I don't know why I don't notice the stop sign or what, but I make a left and a stop, but it happens a lot. And I understand there's only been 7 accidents since what you said, 2006.
2006, yeah.
But I just would rather head off a situation of an 8th accident being a bad one. So just kind of want to solicit some thoughts about solutions for this, whether it be 4-way, whether it be better illuminating. You said that you had already put spinners on it, correct, Terry?
Yes, so we put spinners on it, we put big yellow, cross traffic does not stop, and then we banded the whole pole with reflective red. It's actually, because so when you pull up there, you're seeing a red pole, yellow sign, red stop sign, and a spinner. So,
Has there been any accidents since that was done?
I don't know. We put those up in.
I don't have the dates on when the last crash was. I can get it for you, like,
You just did that recently, right?
Yeah, less than 2 years ago, remember Donnie went around
Yeah.
and made that list, so it was before Donnie, right before he retired.
yeah, so he's been gone about a year and a half.
So,
Donnie has.
within 2 years.
Yeah. Another option I
I
was,
guess I haven't paid attention to those, and I don't remember seeing those.
Well, that's the thing about it. You guys have done that. I go through the intersection probably once a day, and I've never noticed any of that.
they kind of did the same thing in Maine
We
and
did.
Maine. I don't think you put the yellow vertical, the cross traffic, but you put the post
Right.
reflectors on there.
Donnie had a list of probably, we've probably done 10 of them, and
Yeah.
no cross traffic.
What's the cost for the illuminated corridor?
That's what Jeff and I was talking about. They're wide ranging, but I just pulled some up real quick, and they're anywhere from 1,800 to 3,000. There is some cheaper ones on Amazon. I don't know anything about them. They're about 1,000. So,
What's the detriment of making it a 4-way stop, other than people have to stop?
There's some people learning, and there are probably gonna be a few crashes, I'd imagine, until people learn. I don't
Yeah.
know if putting the white line, the white stop bars on there would do any good either at the intersection. Is that something you guys could paint on the road?
yeah,
or-
whatever you want. we can-
How much is the new stop sign?
That's what he was just talking about.
No, I thought,
Oh, you're talking about just the standard stuff?
just to add 2 more stop signs to make it a 4-way.
Probably $300.
But all your old timers, I know I go through Washington, I always go Washington, But again, I almost got hit about a week and a half ago. Had I not slammed on my brakes, a white pickup truck would have taken me that ran it, so.
I mean, we haven't got a lot of complaints. Well, I seen the same post last night, I think, on Facebook.
It's actually been on my mind for
Yeah.
all summer.
But nobody's actually came to us and go, hey, I think there's an issue or whatever, but, you know, today I sat over there once and one of our other officers sat over there just kind of watching to see what was going on. I didn't see anything when I was there. One of our reserve officers said he witnessed a truck go through there east and west, I forget which way, but didn't even stop yesterday. He wasn't working, but it is an issue.
So there's no, I mean, I like the idea of putting a white line there. There's no white lines, are there?
I don't think so.
I do too.
No, because normally what those are is for, tell traffic to stop back so that the trucks can turn. You'll see those most on state highways and roads that intersect state highways, and make traffic stop further back. That's what that means, stop back, so that if a semi is coming off of it.
Yeah, some of the county roads have them at the railroad tracks too, to make sure you don't pull up too far, but I mean, it's an option.
Well, the thought process there is if the purpose is to stop people sooner, I mean, at least they'll notice it and give themselves at least a second opportunity to stop.
Is it reflective in the nighttime, you know?
No, paint isn't. I do believe what you do, you add, while it's wet, you throw the.
Oh, yeah.
We never have, but I'm sure you can purchase it.
I mean, you could, sometimes you'll see the white band and it'll literally say stop on the street as well.
That's not a bad idea. I mean, just make it as blatantly obvious. I would prefer keep traffic flowing through there
Yeah.
the way it is and not change the muscle memory. If we can do something on a relatively, cost-effective basis like that, even if we have to write stop on the ground.
I'm saying, I'd like to keep it flowing. You know, north-south's been that way. I think if you do change it, we're gonna have several crashes. The signs would be nice, but I don't know about spending $4,000
Right.
yet. Let's just see if the white stops bars and stop on the road might help prior to getting to that point.
Can we test that at those two intersections?
I think so.
Are you guys,
This, stripes?
the stripes, yeah?
Yes.
You guys good with that?
I think it's a good
It's
first
a
step.
good starting point.
We can set over it more often, just kind of do a study, I guess, so to speak, and or just observe and see how it goes.
Sure. But yeah, if you don't mind,
No, and I don't mind, if you guys wanna go with those, lighting sign, I just have to transfer money this late in the whole late in the cycle.
well, before we outlay that cash, why don't we try this, see what kind of success we have? If it brings more attention to the intersection and go from there.
Yeah, and if you could make them reflective and it's not super expensive, that'd be great to try as well.
Is this something you also would like to try at Pearl Street?
Yeah,
Good too?
both intersections if you're good with it.
I don't know if those signs stop signs are marked the same as Washington or not, do you recall?
Is it?
With the post?
Pearl and Buckeye?
Yeah.
I don't believe so.
For some reason, Pearl doesn't seem to be as much of an issue. Washington and Buckeye definitely.
That one is priority, yeah.
Yeah. So, but if it's cost effective, let's just do both
Okay.
and just call it a day.
All right.
Good. Everybody with that?
Hey, while we're on this topic, do we have historically, do we have a process for making these decisions? Like in terms of where stop signs go and don't go? Or do we just kind of follow people's, if the issue gets raised by somebody?
I've only dealt with
That's a
it
general question to everybody.
I haven't dealt with it too often.
Okay.
It's, the only other time I think was the one-way street that we changed over here and put up some stop signs there that I've dealt with. Normally people will call and complain and then we'll go out and look at it and just give our 2 cents on what we see and
Okay.
observe. And if it's to the point that we think something may need to be done or somebody's really pushing us toward it, then I'll present it to y'all.
Appreciate it.
Just to
Thanks.
get your thoughts.
Anybody else have anything for Jeff? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Terry, thank you as well.
Bye.
Mr. Strong, you want to update us on Jackson Street? I asked Mr. Strong for an update on Jackson Street because it seems like it's the progress has slowed way down and some questions are starting to be raised. I was under the impression that we'd be paved by now. but,
Well, I think we were all hoping that would be the case. So it appears the delay has been that the part by Broncos in regards to the changes there, and then also the contractor that was to come back and do the concrete work couldn't get back to here until sometime in November.
that's the concrete work out here?
Correct. And so with that, Midwest has been reaching out to other contractors. So as of the day, it appears that the concrete work will get done towards the end of next week. So once that's done, then Morphe can come back and reinstall the one light fixture that needs to be installed there, activate the lights in front of Sullivan's and across from there by Pizza King. And then also they will activate the lights down between Pearl and Main Street on the north and south side both. And so the reason those aren't activated is they're waiting for a bucket truck. So they know they will have the bucket truck here to do the light by Broncos.
Okay.
So once the concrete work is installed and all that's done, then the paving can be scheduled. And they didn't want to start the paving knowing they're going to have to change some elevations and stuff due to the concrete work. So it appears that we're starting to move forward again, and I know it's been a delay here, and I know there's been numerous questions, and we've not done a good job on the listserv giving updates either because we weren't getting updates, so I'm sure that was part of the reason you were all getting questions as well. So hopefully we'll get back in a cycle here and start getting the updates.
So the hope is,
Remember, though, it started, we were waiting on Duke to
Right.
work over there.
but that was like 3 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Well, but that caused the concrete supplier to be off-site.
Okay.
And it stemmed from that, not getting done when they were doing concrete work.
Yeah. So you said, if I heard you correctly, you said the hope is to start back on the concrete work sometime next week?
Towards the end of the week was my understanding in talking to Mr. O'Brien today.
Okay.
When did you say the lights were gonna happen? The bucket truck and all that?
So when the concrete work is done, then Morphe, which is the electrical company, will plan on coming back and installing the one pole that needs to be done by Broncos, which ties into the lights in front of Sullivan's and the other ones. And so when that concrete work's in, they'll be back to take care of that.
Okay,
And they seem to be responding very quickly to our needs from their
Okay.
perspective. Concrete company was the one that sort of threw the wrench in it when we made some changes there, and they weren't able to come back, which, you know, they did a great job. We'd love to have them back, but unfortunately they can't be here to November, and that would delay everything.
Yeah, so Morphe should be here pretty shortly after the concrete. That's the hope.
Yes, that would be correct.
But the pavement doesn't rely on that. Pavement's just on.
Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah, right, right.
Has the pre-electrical work been done for like,
All of the pre-electrical work, they were here last week and did all the pre-electrical work, so that is all ready to go. They just need to make that connection for that final light fixture out here. And then the ones down between Pearl and Main Street, they have to lift up one of the street lights in order to be able to install an additional wire to make that system work. So yes, all that's been done.
Are we still anticipating having the guardrails up this year and the crosswalks painted and everything?
The plan is, as far as I know, that most everything's to be done by November 17th, unless Mr. Cooper has heard something differently.
That's drop dead date.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome, sir. Thank you.
Hey, sorry, I didn't mean to say hey either, Mr. Strong.
Yes, sir.
Hey, you.
Any other discussions on the globes?
So Keith has reached out to Midwest and telling them that the globes need to be changed. And so he has communicated to that, but where that stands as of the day, we haven't got a response back. So,
Thank you.
yes, sir.
Anything else from Mr. Strong?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, moving along. Frank, do you have anything? All right. You do under plan? Yes, sir. Step back up.
So just a quick update. So on the agenda for Tuesday evening, you will have a rezone ordinance in front of you and for your review, and it's for the property located at 299 North Peru Street, which was formerly the Casey's property, and then, as you well know, it's changed businesses, probably a couple years ago now. but they are seeking for a rezone from their R5 Old Town Residential to Neighborhood Commercial. So the Planning Commission conducted a public hearing last evening on that proposal. Came out of the Planning Commission with a favorable recommendation, moving on to the Town Council with a 9-0 favorable. So that will be on your agenda, and we will make sure that you get all the information on that tomorrow in your packets that will come out, so you can review the information. The only other thing that I'll note on that, so we have, as you all know, permitted uses for each zoning district, and then we also have special exception uses. So we'll include that in the packet, but one of the commitments that we asked the petitioner for, or Mr. Monroe for, would be that they would exclude under the special exceptions that there would not be a recycling collection point at that location, that there would not be an automobile service station at that location, because that would include, for looking at things, that would include gas pumps and everything else, and also there would not be a utility substation there. So we would like for the council to consider that as part of your deliberation moving forward with the rezone request as well, and potentially make that part of your motion.
Okay.
And then also we'll send the permitted uses and other things to you, so you can look at those and see if there's something else that you might want to consider.
Can I ask a question about this now, or do I need to wait till next week?
No,
I know there's been a lot of renovations there over the last couple years. Has that all been done properly?
Yes. Yeah, he had a land use variance to allow his current use, which we call light manufacturing. He mixes detergents and low hazard stuff to make stone stuff. So he puts all that stuff together. Yeah, had land use variance. He went through the aesthetic review to get all the work done on the outside. Yeah, and completely above board.
That's great. It does look nice. My only question is, like, it's all impervious. Like, is that compliant?
It was like that before, so yes.
Okay, understood.
Yes.
Thank you.
so his intent is needless to say that it's been a commercial property probably for as long as I can remember, in 30 years I've been here and long before that. But, you know, he has the potential of the front office space there that he uses for an office to potentially lease that out at some point to another business. You know, he has a couple of potentials there, and as we've dealt with in the past, for somebody to come back and get a land use variance, that person stays there for 6 months, they move out, somebody else moves in, they're back to get another land use variance. And, you know, it seems one of the reasons that he's looking at the rezone request, not that he ever wants to sell the property as he's told us, but someday if he ever sold it, it would give him the ability to sell it as commercial as opposed to residential as well. So anyway, that would be my update on that.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
Terry, do you have anything? No. Mr. Hunter?
I have a couple of things tonight that I've been working on over the last month or so. Dan and I recently met with a grant writer, Amy Shanklin, to have conversation with her about the potential for writing grants for the town. We also met with Tina Mendenhall, and Tina's the one that actually referred us to Amy. Because Tina's today is in a much different capacity and standard in her grant writing ability, so she referred us to Amy. So I've met with Amy myself a couple times. Dan participated in one of those meetings. She's proposing to come to the town and write grants for the town, anything from small grants to the larger state grants and even the federal grants, and help us with those things. What she would like to do as a starting point is come in and do a assessment for all the departments in town, police, fire, parks, water, sewer, even the clerk treasurer's office, and report back with a assessment on what she believes she could do for the town. And then from there going forward, she would like to do a contract with the town, which she believes we would fall somewhere between her Arcadia. She does grants for Arcadia now and for Tipton. She charges Arcadia $1,000 a month. She charges Tipton $1,500. She believes that we would fall somewhere in between there. She thinks she can write between 2 and 3 grants a month. I've had several conversations with her about if the town didn't want to do the entire town for assessment, if she would be willing to come back and do the assessment strictly for the Parks Department on what she could do for us going forward. And she's willing to do that, but her fee would be $1,750 instead of the $2,000, and her monthly fees would essentially be somewhere around $1,000 a month, but she was kind of open on that. I've talked to the department heads yesterday about it. I've talked to Dan quite a bit about it. I would like to see if the council has any desire to have her do the study and report back to us, and then we can make a decision then based on what her report says and what
You
she's
said that
willing to do.
assessment's $2,000?
$2,000.
So you're saying she's writing 2 to 3 grants per month?
Yes.
Do you know what the acceptance rate of those grants are?
Not specifically, I don't, but I could absolutely ask her.
I'd be curious.
Dan, do you? Specifically, so we specifically, Dan emailed her and asked specifically if she was willing to do, or focus more on grants that did not require a match. And she absolutely is willing to do that, which traditionally are smaller grants, but she would focus on grants that, if we want her to, that don't necessarily require a match and can be in-kind donations or sweat equity type matches if we don't have specific funds. But she would, I think she'd do a good job, and I think it would be well worth trying to at least see the assessment through and see what she can do for us.
Thoughts?
I think it'd be a good investment because a good grant writer can get all kinds of things that most of us aren't aware of because they have the ability to go out there and see.
What's contract detail wise? Does she require it annually or is it
Monthly.
just- it's monthly?
And I believe I could even, if we wanted to, I think we could go back and talk to her in terms of not necessarily a yearly contract. Maybe she would do a short-term contract for 6 months and reevaluate, things like that. She will also do it without a monthly fee, but charges per grant, depending on what the grant is.
Sure. Where's she based?
Where's
she based?
Out of Noblesville?
I wouldn't mind meeting her.
Would
I
you
mean,
want?
I think a council interview is a fair request, you know, if we're technically hiring her. Not that we don't trust you, but maybe.
That's fine with me. I just want to see what I can do to keep the process moving.
Yeah, absolutely. Bring her in for a discussion, guys.
I'm okay with doing an assessment. I would also like a list of, over the last 2 years, what grants she's written for Arcadia and Tipton and what kind of acceptance isn't the right word, but what has she actually been, or what have they actually been awarded, if possible?
Eric, are you saying you want to authorize her to do the assessment, or do you want to have
I'd
the
like to
answers
see all the
first?
information
Okay.
First, and then,
I mean, so you're good spending the $2K for the assessment?
No, he
let's
was-
see
yeah.
what, I said that, but let's see what grants she's written and what kind of award, what has been awarded to those communities, and then
When do we want to have her in?
Have her come to one of these meetings, or have her come to a regular meeting?
Would it be better to staff or regular?
I
Staff
can
delays.
get that, I can get that through an email and we can make a decision.
Yeah, actually, I'm good with that too, if we have statistics.
Well,
some
for,
kind of-
for what it's worth, I have several emails where she talks briefly about what she's done for Arcadia and what she's done for Tipton, but I don't believe any of those emails contain numbers on what she applied for and what she was awarded and what she, or the dollar value or any of that. I don't think I have that stuff. Do you, Dan?
No, okay, she only shared with us, some of like the,
Mhm.
splash pad and some of those things, but she didn't give us any success rates or dollar amounts.
Right.
Do you have contacts in Tipton and Arcadia that you could reach
I
out
do.
to?
I do.
If we could just do a little due diligence,
I will.
that'd be appreciated.
So do we do that and then report back at the next meeting?
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay.
I'd love to meet with her on behalf of the council too, so I can meet at your office, or I could have coffee with her, or whatever.
Why don't I send the council all of the emails that I have with her so you can see the exchange? Rhonda can get a hold of Jennifer at Arcadia and
Tammy and Tipton.
talk about it at the next step meeting.
Sounds good.
And then if you have questions, she will, by all means, reach out to her. She'll meet you. I feel confident she'd be willing to meet you or talk to you more. and
That's
we'll
great,
go from
yeah.
there.
Thanks.
The next item that I have is community building drainage. Over the last couple of years, 4 years, I've had 4 different occasions where the west side of the building has, in torrential rains, flooded the inside of the building. So the water's coming down the hill, which sets in a very low area. And it's essentially no way to get away. And the west wall is getting water underneath and into the building. One of the times it was about 4 feet inside, and that's happened to me now on 4 occasions over the last 4 years. And we go in and we do the best we can to clean it up and mop it up and get the building back in service. But it really is something we need to address and get it fixed. My staff and I have tried everything we can over the last 4 years, from extending gutters and downspouts and extending this and that, and just feel like we're beyond that now and we need to do more. So over the last month, I've met with Terry and Sean and Paul, my assistant, and now 2 different boring companies, and even spoke to Keith at length and met Keith out there. And believe the best resolution would be from the northwest corner of the building to put in a concrete structure manhole and bore a line straight east under the parking lot to the lake. There is one there now that goes from the front of the building and captures the downspouts on the east side of the building and the south side of the building and takes the water to the lake. We know that that's opening and working very well. We put a camera in it. We put dye in it. So we know that's working. It's just not doing enough on the west side of the building. So I've met tentatively with some boring companies and Keith, and right now the prices are coming back in the vicinity of $23,000 for the boring. And then my staff, and with the help of Terry's people, I believe could set the manhole and do the other work. But there'd be a cost involved in that. So I could see this being a $30,000 project before it's done and completed. And we do what we can to save money and to get it done and get it right. But I wanted to bring it to your attention tonight and see how you felt about the project, and if you would be okay with me asking the drainage board for assistance with this.
Why do we have to bore it to get it away from the west side? Can't you run it off to the parking lot? I mean, the first thing is to get the water away from the building, right?
Absolutely.
So how does, you're gonna put a concrete swell in the back?
No, a manhole at the corner, and we'll put that manhole, and that will capture a lot of that water, which is in a naturally low area. But then my staff and with Terry, we would put in some 4-inch drain tiles along the entire west side of the building up to that, so the water, they would be 4-inch drain lines plus the existing downspouts. That 8-inch line would take it to the lake.
And where's the other line that goes to the lake?
I'm sorry?
You said there was another line that goes to the lake already?
Yes.
Where's
Yeah.
that at?
It goes from the southwest corner of the building, around the south side of the building, to the east side of the building, and turns and goes basically to the front doors, to a drain there, and then goes straight east from there into the lake. So we actually dyed the line, and we know that the green came out there, and then we also know that the backside is tied in the same line because we used a different color about an hour later, and they all came out at the same point.
I mean, so we're over budget, right? I don't know why we wouldn't break it down and try to get the water away from the building first, is what's in my mind. And then,
What I'm trying to say is I don't know how else to get it away from the building. It's in a substantially low spot. The whole west side of that building is downhill to the building.
so it's, that west side is below the pavement out there,
Below the pavement.
asphalt on the
No.
east side?
No, if you're asking me if I can run it around the building and drain it onto the parking lot, I think I can, but I don't believe that's the right way to do it, and I don't believe long-term that would be the way to do it.
Wouldn't that be a big hazard in the winter if with snow and ice melting and taking it back to the parking lot and it freezing up if we did it that way?
Could be.
So is it water coming off the building or is it water coming off, like, are you saying the elevation to the west of the building is higher?
The elevation to the west of the building is as much as 5 feet higher than the building.
So it's not just water off the building, it's water from that whole western area that's coming, working its way down?
We've done what we can to make sure our gutters and downspouts and everything are open and doing what they're supposed to do. That's why I've already, prior to this meeting, I met with Keith and Terry and Paul and all my staff and 2 drilling companies to see if everybody agreed that this was the right fix. We could even open dig across the parking lot, but the cost to do that would virtually be the same or more to backfill and stone it and repair the lot. That's what I'm being told, 'cause I haven't tried to itemize that cost out.
Yeah, I don't think digging up the asphalt's the right approach. So,
Do you feel strongly this is something that needs to be addressed this year?
I do, only because I feel like there's funding from a resource from the drainage board that I might be able to get some funding from them and get this done.
Could you potentially get that information prior to us making a decision?
Yeah, I'm not asking for your, I guess didn't make that clear. I'm not asking for you to approve it tonight, just to know that you think I'm on the right track and we're going the right direction. And I could even submit it for invitation to quote. But I just, I have spoke to Bruce for just a couple of minutes about this, but I don't have any specific, didn't have specific cost to give him.
Sure.
Well, thank you for bringing it to our attention, because the last thing we want is for it to keep happening and have mold and mildew and having to tear out flooring.
yeah, Jacob, so all this, I assume,
If you don't mind, I'll show you this a little bit. So one of the problem is flooding in here, because it's coming down this building really hard, down this hill, and it's all around here. It's flooding in and getting that entire area wet. Now, as much as 4 feet along that whole west wall. And one of the problems with surface draining it would be, we still have to cut the sidewalk here in 2 places, because of the way the sidewalk goes out to the gazebo and then down the drive. And obviously we want to stay away from that tree, but we feel like placing one of those, that structure right here, this corner, would allow all these downspouts to drain straight into that. And I can come around here with 4-inch pipe. We can do that ourselves and save some money and stone it in and dump those 4-inch pipes into this 8-inch line and take it straight to the lake. And like I said, I'm not an expert at it, but that's why I went to Terry and Sean and everybody ahead of time to try to make sure I was coming in here with the best solution.
so you're gonna go talk to the drainage board and see what you said.
That's what I would like for you to tell me is fine to do.
I'm good with that. I
I'm not,
prefer to have all the
I don't
information.
control the drainage board, obviously, so I don't really like going to them asking for money without council support.
I'm fine with having a discussion.
Thank you.
Dennis?
I'm good with it.
Take it away.
Yeah, I guess I'm not asking for your blessing at this point. It's just, I don't like going to ask them for funding when without your support.
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jim. Anybody else? You want more? Jump up.
So the last thing on my list, so would be a community crossing matching grant. So I know with some of the budget constraints and some of those things, and as you heard from Superintendent Hunter, that was one of the reasons that he had spoken to Amy about the possibility was the grants out there without matching funding. So just for the council to consider, do you want to move forward with a community crossing matching grant, knowing that if we get $1 million project, that the match will be $200,000? If we did the 80-20, which appears what it is, or if the council would prefer to potentially take a year off and move forward with a project next year in July.
Project's due October, is that right?
Yes, so we need a decision made fairly quickly, and I think that we talked about it next council meeting, not to put everyone under the gun, but it's going to be very tight to get all the information and everything submitted by October 31st. But I knew with the constraints and stuff that I wanted to bring up, if the possibility of the council potentially delaying the project for a year, so.
My opinion is we just spent a bunch of TIF money. We've got significant financial constraints. I think it's gonna be hard to come up with a match.
We're in a situation we're gonna have to start making concessions somewhere.
I mean, I want to do a project, especially 80-20. I'm concerned about where we're gonna get the cash.
So we just did that geo bond,
True.
which part of the use of that is to support these type of.
It's a good point.
That's fair.
Which I think you did list that on there, if I'm not mistaken, grant opportunities.
It's a good point. I forgot about that.
I mean, that can't be used for everyday, those geo bond funds can't be used for everyday expenses.
So anyway, for something for the council to think about, but would like to have some information fairly soon, because we'll have to get down and wherever we decide where the project will be, start looking at the scope of the work, getting some dollars put together, because basically we have to pretty much have it spelled out to what the project's going to cost and where the money's coming from and all those things. So
Rhonda, can you put that back on the agenda for Tuesday, please?
Sure.
Thank you. You guys kick that around for the next few days.
You guys have the list of things that we previously discussed?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jacob, that was finishing Jackson Street. I can
That's all right. I can get with Dan and we can talk about it.
and you had right off the top of my head, you finishing Jackson Street. I believe you were looking at Morris Landing West and over in Stillwater Cove, a couple of projects there as well.
East Jackson Street repaved, Pearl
Yes.
Causeway.
Yeah. But anyway, Mr. Everett, feel free to reach out.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's all I have. Thank you, sir.
Rhonda, do you have anything?
I do not.
At this point, are you guys good if we turn the department heads that would like to leave outside of fire?
Well, you don't have to do anything with budget. Budget was on there.
They usually don't come to
Yeah,
budget
they
meetings
don't
anyway. So, department heads, if you don't want to be here for fire, you are welcome to take off.
And just want to remind everyone, Sunday from 5 to 7 is a spaghetti fundraiser at Red Bridge, and 100% of the money that we get goes to the police and fire department. And there's going to be a really good band from 5:30 to 8. So come hungry and bring your dancing shoes.
You said it's at the fire department again.
Pardon?
At the fire department again.
Rhonda, do you have budget, like documents you want us to look at today? Like, did you print anything out for us?
She
I
sent it
thought-
on 9/5.
I emailed it.
No, that's fine. I just didn't know if you brought them. Yeah. I don't need it. I was just asking.
No, I didn't print any, I sent it to you, but, historically, if you want me to print it again, you just let me know.
No expectation.
Okay.
I would just asking if it was,
No.
if you were gonna hand me something.
No, I have so many copies of it.
All right, now we're through the hard stuff.
No, now we're starting the hard stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Just so you know, my Jennifer Pickett said they really liked, Amy Shanklin. She did a great job. And they just had to cut back somewhere, so they decided not to renew a contract. That's the only reason. So, but I'll get some more, information from her, how many grants did she apply for, success rate. And I'll reach out to Tipton Clerk Treasurer as well.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, this is pretty much going to be discussion and presentation, so feel free to interject whenever you want to.
Got it.
Thank you.
Well, you're part of the problem, I mean,
Color printing.
I want to thank the chief for the many hours he's put in working on this. And for Chris for his input too, because he's been working with Lance. And Lance has gone above and beyond.
Okay, so the PowerPoint I put together is basically just to kind of guide the conversation as we move through this. There's a lot of things in it that we've already discussed, or you guys have already discussed. I just thought we'd have an outline of how to go through. So the overview, everybody's aware we went from class 4 to class 10. Primarily because of a staffing issue, we're not able to meet the 100% requirement for 4 people responding on the initial alarm. We've been cross-manning our EMS and fire for several years trying to cover that gap, but it's not working. And that was part of the issue with the ISO situation. So we've entered into the retrogression plan, and we have to have the plan submitted to them by Wednesday, the 17th. Options that we reviewed, but we don't recommend is the volunteer program. We looked at that from a personnel standpoint. There's nobody that lives in town that's going to be able to do that. Bringing people in from the outside, you run the risk of running into an FLSA issue where you have to pay them because you're requiring them to be on station, as well as almost a $200,000 startup cost with turnout gear, training time, and man hours taken away from other duties that the guys could be doing.
Chief, would you prefer I save my questions or
No.
ask as you go?
No, let's ask as we go.
Again, I'm the new guy, so just a little background real quick for me. We used to have volunteers and then that
Yes.
stopped, right?
Yeah,
Just-
we used to have volunteers.
Just educate me, please.
Yeah, the department started out as a volunteer department years ago. And the volunteers continued on, and we had them up until 2016.
Yep.
So the issue we ran into was the volunteers were assigned a shift. The other issue we ran into was that volunteers would come in during the day as a paid person, and at 6 o'clock they would start a volunteer shift doing the exact same job. It's a huge FLSA violation. So we had to, at that point, put a stop to the volunteer program and offer these people, do you want to be paid or do you want to be a volunteer? Well, 95% of them picked paid. And that was basically the end of our volunteer program.
Thank you.
so on our 27 audit, 6 firefighters calling from the volunteer. I don't know.
Because that included the last year of our volunteers, that last audit.
Yes, yeah, 17 did. Now, well, I'll leave that alone for right now. But yes, it did draw in the volunteers into that.
I'm good, thank you.
Okay. We looked at a callback program, but there's only a couple people in town that would qualify for that, and there was some pushback on that. Obviously, they don't want to give up their time away or time off from the station to be put on call.
So I have a couple questions regarding that.
Sure.
I mean, it wouldn't be a free callback, it wouldn't be free. I mean, if you're on a callback during the day, you would get some level of pay, right? And we limited it to our fire department. I don't know how many out-of-town firemen live in Cicero as well, and how that would work, if that's a potential.
I don't think you're going to get people from out of town wanting to be on call, just like our guys don't want to be on call.
If you're gonna be around not doing anything, to make, I'll throw out a number, $100 a day to be on call? I don't know.
Travis?
But don't,
So I do live in town, I live a mile away from the station. I have 3 kids at home. The requirement for the on-call thing is I would have to be at the department, geared up on the truck within 5 minutes. One, I live here for 24 hours at a time. I love my job, don't get me wrong, but my family comes first. I'm not gonna sacrifice my family's time, the little time I do get with them, to be on call and not be available when my daughter's crying because she wants to eat or something like that. I will not.
Well, that's a fair statement. So 14 runs, I'm picking averages, 14 runs a year. So for $100 a day, you don't think that there would be people sign up for that?
No.
I don't know what the value would be, I'm just taking
Sure.
it down.
No, I get that. No, because yes, it is $100 a day. I get what you're saying there, but you are asking me to be available at the drop of a hat for that entire time frame. There's only 2 of us currently, soon to be 1, me being the only one, as staffing is right now, that live in town, that can have that availability. Anybody else that you want to put on this on-call are going to have to be in town to do that. Well, if I'm going to be in town, and I'm going to be forced to be in town and ready to go, then for someone like Andy, per se, who lives in Coconut, he's not going to drive and hang out in Cicero for 12, 24 hours, whatever it is,
Yeah, absolutely not.
for $100.
No, I completely agree.
So me being the only one, I can't cover 365 days a year.
No, I understand that as well. There are other, I don't know how many, I know there are a few others, at least from other departments. I don't know, I mean, it was just an option for him.
No, and it's something to talk about. Most of the others that live in town, like Matt Mitchell is an example. He's the fire chief of Noblesville. So he's gone during the day. And that's usually when we need the help, is during the daytime. Because we have part-timers that will come in and work the overnight shift because they like to do that.
Chief, most of the firefighters, don't they work like a second job? So they wouldn't be able to do their second job
Yeah.
to be paid $100.
Yeah, the other thing is
Yeah.
with the on-call to remember is, as soon as they are called back in is when the clock starts. So they would be on overtime, the length of time from that call. I don't know what the numbers are.
No, absolutely, I mean,
But-
that would only be fair. I mean,
Yeah.
I would tend to agree with that. Overtime is easier than paying benefits and full salary.
Sure.
And it's just an option.
Yeah.
It's just a thought.
Somebody made the comment, they'd have to be at the station geared up and on the truck within 5 minutes. Where's that 5-minute metric come from?
That's from ISO.
Okay.
So to be considered one of the 4 responders,
Yeah.
you have to be in the station with your gear on, ready to fight fire.
That's not what I understood out of that call.
Because you could go straight to the
They have
scene.
be at the site with Well, let's talk about that call that you could have your gear with you. Maybe,
Right.
maybe you could put, maybe you
yes.
could put gear on the fire truck when you start that shift. I don't know, maybe there's options, because I heard reasons for not having it in your personal vehicle. which
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense to me. So maybe you could do something different, but what I heard, Jacob, is they just have.
Yeah, you're right, I do remember that, yeah.
But they have to have an SCBA with them. So there's only X amount of SCBA's present on a fire truck. So say they're that fourth person, and we don't have an SCBA, they have to respond with an SCBA in the vehicle that they're gonna respond to the fire call with.
Right, and saying that we can respond to scene, now you're putting my personal vehicle into it. I'm just throwing all the options out there. Now you're putting my personal vehicle into it. Am I gonna get a stipend for my personal vehicle that I'm being required to use for my job?
And the insurance.
The insurance costs, everything like that. Those are just things to think about.
So back to my question. What is ISO measure the 5 minutes to the truck, or do they measure the time to the scene?
To the scene.
Okay.
Well, I don't think
And I
5
misspoke
minutes
that.
Came in, right?
I'm sorry?
You don't wait 5 minutes throughout all of Cicero.
No, but they,
So-
No, I was just trying to understand where that-
I don't think the 5 minutes is required.
it's responding,
Yes,
okay?
it's not.
I was just trying to
Responding from the
understand
time
where
you leave
that-
the station until you get to the scene.
What's that number?
There is no requirement to the scene.
Okay.
The
From
next,
ISO standpoint.
from ISO, no, but the national standard is 4 minutes.
Okay, thank you.
The other thing that was talked about was privatizing the EMS service. Tipton tried that several years ago. It was a massive failure. White River tried it a few years ago. It was a massive failure.
Can you help me understand what massive failure means?
Means the truck was never there. So if you contract with a private service, we don't have the run volume for them to make any money in town. So they will leave town, go to Anderson and do a transfer, go to Indy and do a transfer, and if we get a run, they'll try to make it up here, but they never get back.
Was that when White River had, was it Ace a few years ago?
Seals.
Seals,
They
okay.
had Seals come in and do it. They paid a $10,000 a year contract and they were never there.
They only paid $10,000?
Huh?
They only paid $10,000?
Mm-hmm. The other thing, you lose control over your billing for your citizens. Several years ago, Rural Metro stopped taking Medicare, and they started billing people directly, and they were getting $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 bills for an ambulance call. So,
What's the ballpark that we collect in a year? Any just rough guess?
160.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
We have that information in the topic of discussion, so.
that's all we collect?
Mm-hmm.
How many times do we transport, like, how many times do we go on a call? You don't have to know these numbers, I'm just asking. Like, do we go on a call and then just come back to the station? Like, what does that look, I don't even know, like, normally. Are we taking them to hospitals? Are we just treating them on scene most of the time?
No, we transport quite often. I'll have to get those numbers for you.
That's all right, no, I don't
Exact
expect you
numbers.
to know that off the top of your head.
But the majority of our calls right now are for falls.
Okay,
So we'll go out, help the people up, and come back and serve.
gotcha.
So I'm not ready to get off of this one.
Okay.
So let's take the falls per se, and then all of our firefighters are EMTs as well. So theoretically, the fire department could go as well, right?
Yes.
And support that level.
Mhm.
Can we, is there, or should there be apparatus on the fire trucks to support while you're waiting for an ambulance to arrive?
We talked about that with all the scenarios that we've looked at and are presenting to you guys and have talked to you guys about. We're probably going to be moving the ALS equipment off of the backup truck and putting it on the engine so that the engine can respond to a call, begin rendering care, and then we, depending on what you guys decide, we may have to wait on an outside ambulance to come in town and transport.
So, okay. assuming there's not a fire, it's 14 times a year. And again, I'm using rough numbers, right? Those 14 times a year that the fire, there's a real fire out there, that the fire truck is gone on, and there's an ambulance call, then that's where the fire truck could go to support, assuming they're not out for one of those 14. Then the other thing that's on my mind is, Jackson Township covers what else? They cover Arcadia, Atlanta, White River,
No, White River has their own fire department.
so they are sending permit for ambulance service? They
Yes.
have
Mhm.
medic?
Yep.
community?
Yep.
So thinking out of the box, is there a way to work with Jackson Township as well? I'm assuming that they could, on their fire trucks, put apparatus as well?
They've already got that done.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I'm trying to see if that's a real option, because the 10,000 isn't the number that I had heard. I had heard significantly more than that. So maybe that keeps them in town more often. I'm just trying to make sure that our residents are covered. But
Again, historically, I look at Tipton, what happened up there, they had two different, Rural Metro started first, and then they lost the contract, and then Seals came in and got the contract. Seals had the contract at White River, and they were never there.
I can vouch for that. I used to work at Seals, and when they had the contract at Tipton, not White River, and that truck got pulled to Indy to do transfers and everything like that because they weren't making any money. It's a private service.
understood.
So they weren't making any money just sitting up in Tipton. So they would pull that truck elsewhere, all over the state, to do transfers to make that truck profitable. So they were never there for Tipton.
So if that contract was only 10 grand, I mean, is there an amount that makes it worth it for them to have the truck not leave the area?
It would be, my opinion is it would be substantially more because looking at a business perspective, you've got to cover the staffing, the truck, everything like that to make that truck profitable. So throwing it back to you guys, would you be willing to pay a private service one of their people, their salary, versus keeping it in-house?
One of the things I want to clarify real quick, when I say $10,000, that's what White River was paying.
Oh, White River, I thought you meant Tipton.
No, Tipton was paying 100 and ballpark at 150 for the same service,
And they still weren't getting the service.
and they still weren't getting the service.
I mean, I think you could have discussions with that and
Yeah.
contract set up.
They won't sign a contract that way.
And your standards of care.
And I'm not trying to be argumentative.
The medics you're gonna get from SEALs they're not us. I mean, they're not doing the training and protocol that we're working with. No offense to people that work at SEALs by any means, but, that's not your top tier medics you're getting working at SEALs.
But the standard of care still rolls up to, has to roll up to medical doctor, right?
Yeah, I believe they fall under a different contract.
Yeah, their doctors are out of Indianapolis.
And Indianapolis protocols, I've worked under them in Anderson, I've worked under them at SEALs. They're very minimal. You're not going to get the standard that we are allowed to be medics with our medical director. We are allowed to basically everything the National Registry says that we're allowed to do, we're allowed to do. Anderson, which falls under Indianapolis protocols because of their medical director. SEALs, same way. Their protocol book is like 16 pages long, and they can't do much.
Who is our medical director again? I don't remember.
Dr. Cornlow out of Muncie, IU.
I mean, I'm not ready to close that, I think, I think we need to look at potential, what we can do with Jackson Township to support all of our residents, myself, and see if there's something that we can come up with there. I know that's happening on the 17th, so I'm willing to put resources down, not on the timeline that I just saw, but have resources down, but I think if we can still work that in the background, ultimately what ISO is wanting is 4 people on a truck.
No,
Ultimately,
4 people on scene.
4 people on scene, yes, thank you.
I just think it's important because we keep saying on the truck, and that's.
No, you're correct.
I have a question. So, are we considering that Jackson Township's in the same situation as us and they're having the same conversation? And we even know they're gonna have this.
Right.
They may be in the same situation where they're saying, hey, you know, maybe we can get sister to cover our.
And at that point,
There's no conversation about that, but that's a very real thing. There's a very good possibility they're having the same conversation with their fire department, how it happens. From the advertisement that I have seen that they've put out, what they're offering, I'm gonna be very surprised if they can fill their trucks, period. They're offering 22 and 18 to fill their trucks for a medic and a EMT for those positions. They're in the same position we're in here. They're trying to figure out the same thing. So when it comes down to it, I don't know that they're gonna have any resources to offer.
in that situation, would it be considered mutual aid?
Yes.
So I was under the impression, and maybe I got the wrong information, but mutual aid was required to be within a 1.9 mile radius. 1.5, Jackson Township's not in a 1.5 mile.
And they're a 10 as well.
And they're a 10 as well, so
I'm
take it
not
on
talking about firefighting, I'm talking about ambulance service,
strictly.
working with ambulance. Yeah, the firefighting,
Okay, so that only applies to fire.
yeah.
Gotcha.
I still didn't hear about ambulance service.
The question is just whether or not they're gonna be able to staff their ambulance. Period.
Understood.
That's the question, because they're in the same situation, and they're areas they're gonna go to. I said that I see what medics and EMTs are making at hospitals and COVID, what they're making, twice what they're making down here. So at this not volunteer Jackson Township Department, so it's a very different world that you're looking at. People are gonna go 20 minutes that way as opposed to Jackson Township to fill those jobs. That's the hardest part of it. And I don't know if you guys know that they fill typically with firefighter EMTs, they just fill with whoever they grab.
My concern would be response time, because let me tell you, as someone who's been laying on the ground waiting for them to come, the response time was very fast, they were very professional, but if Jackson Township was responding, I bet it'd be an extra 10 minutes.
So we're speculating, but our firefighters, other than those 14 times a year, I'm using that lightly, it's not a hard number, other than those 14 times a year, will be there. That are certified, high level, and they've been at my house as well, so I know the work that they do. So they will be there. So it is just a transport ambulance and then the EMT after. If I still know that right. So the big picture is $1.3 million. $1 million, call it $1 million. That is 65% of our general fund. So we have to work. So I'm going to meet with Jackson Township tomorrow morning and have discussions, just to see. We're all in this community together. What can we do together to try to solve this? It makes me feel a heck of a lot better that we have qualified EMTs and firefighters together that can get out and provide service quickly if we're waiting for something else. And to me, that affords us the ability to maybe outsource the ambulance service. I don't know if it does or not yet. I don't have enough information. But that's what's running around in the back of my mind.
Well, the sad thing is, we don't get nearly the amount of fire calls. We get mostly ambulance calls. But our citizens deserve to have care right away. And when you meet with Jackson Township, make sure that they don't sell you if we reorg, everything will be better, because that's what they're putting out to the media, and that is not true. If we reorg, that's gonna make this even more difficult to solve the problem, because it's gonna be a bigger area that's we're gonna have to have more fire stations, we're gonna have to have more equipment, we're gonna have to have more staffing. And who's gonna fund it?
I'm focused on this. So, I will look at any and all options. right? To, one, provide the best support to our constituents and try to stay within, I don't even know that reasonable is the right thing, some budget amount, right?
But we are
That is
gonna,
my responsibility. As sitting in this chair, that is my those two items are my responsibility.
that's true, but we have got to resolve something, because I can tell you, if we don't send in something and get this changed, as a 10, everyone's gonna lose value on their property because people will have to sell to get out. I wouldn't pay 3 times my homeowner's insurance. Businesses aren't gonna come here. The businesses that are here, they're gonna have to raise all their prices. I mean, we've gotta
This
fix
is all
it.
scare tactics and speculation. I'm not saying we're not doing anything, Emily. So putting that information out there does nobody any good, however. I don't know, I've talked to several insurance agents and haven't gotten a clear response. I'm working on finding real solutions to a real problem in front of us and not putting speculation out there. So,
I've talked to my insurance agent, who told me that my premiums, they couldn't tell me exactly how much, but it would double or triple, and of the 15 companies they write, 7 of those companies would not write a person, including my current company, Progressive, if you're in a 10. It's not a scare tactic. I was an underwriter before, so I know how the rating system is. And ISO is not a government body. They don't care, where we have to pull the funding from. They don't care about anything except having bodies on the truck.
I'm not arguing, I'm working solutions to get four bodies out of fire. That's what I'm doing, I'm working that problem.
So I know that we're talking in the immediate right now, but long term, the county has brought up the conversation about a potential joint public safety building somewhere in northern Hamilton County. I've not been part of any advanced discussions with that. It's really just kind of been mentioned at this point. So that's something we could pursue down the road. We still have to tackle this issue in the near future though.
That's 2028 potentially.
No, that's the lit. You're talking about a building.
I'm talking about a new public safety building.
You're talking about the lit?
The county is going to be putting in a public safety lit because it's going to be the current lit is going to be converted to a public safety lit.
I think even that's speculative. I know they're saying that now, but that's going to be unpopular and they're going to have to vote it and approve it. I'm not criticizing you because I have heard the same thing, but it's hard for us to make decisions on that today because it hasn't happened. It is going to be controversial. There's just all these dominoes that are to fall years in the future. I'm not disputing what you're hearing. It's hard to make a decision banking on that today is my position. So I'm with Eric in that, we have to put every option on the table because we don't have $1 million. So if we're going to go spend $1 million, what are we cutting?
I think we beat the privatizing EMS. I'm not done with that yet, but do you want to let him go through the rest of it?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Get a hold of Brad Nichols at Tipton. He sits on their EMS board and was a county commissioner at one point, or county councilman. He can give you all the details about SEALs and rural metro and how that worked. Thanks, couldn't think of his last name.
Can we talk about EMS while we're still here? Sorry, Chief.
No, you're fine. I'm here
The only,
for you guys.
the only other thing I'll say, which is going to be,
That's up on top.
which is going to be unpopular, and I would not even put a lot of weight in it because I'm not an attorney, but I don't believe that under statute, and I'm just saying we're putting everything on the table here, I don't believe we're required to provide EMS. I'm not saying that's the right solution. I'm just saying that statutorily, I don't believe that's a requirement.
You are correct.
Just putting all the options on the table. You can move on, Chief.
Okay. All the scenarios we're going to talk about include full backfill for all the vacation time, sick time that we've estimated, military time, and off-station training hours, because part of this ISO thing is they have to go down to the training center twice a year.
For a total
16 hours a year, each person has to be at the training center in order to get credit for the training that they do. It also includes annual built-in overtime as well as holiday pay. So scenario one was an early one I put together. It was basically hiring civilians to run the ambulance service. When we started looking at this and we look at agencies around us, it's very tough to compete at the wage scale that we're at. We would have to get the medic pay up to $28 an hour, and we'd have to get the EMT pay up to 22 or 24. I'd have to look at the numbers again. As an example, Westfield, they pay their civilian medics around $86,000 plus overtime. Clinton County pays their medics around $100,000 plus overtime.
That was, both of those were medics?
Yes. Carroll County pays $86,000 plus overtime. So getting the civilian people could be, from a pay standpoint, a struggle, could be a challenge. The nice part about that program is it isolates the ambulance over to them and it's taken care of. We don't have to worry about putting firefighters on that truck. One of the cons of that is the fact that they become 40-hour employees because we can't use the 207K exemption that we use for the firefighters. So the majority of their annual wage would come from overtime. And I can share those numbers with you if you'd like to see them. And again, that's something, you know, we would need to look at. I set it up, I looked at 3 different schedules. I looked at the schedule we're working today, the guys are working today. I looked at the schedule that Westfield is working, which is a 24 on, 48 off. And then I looked at a 48-96 schedule, which is what Jackson is working. No matter how we did the schedule, the overtime came out identical because of the hours that they would have to put in.
How much?
Does EMT yearly make?
Currently today,
I mean, you gave numbers for medics, roughly 85K a year.
the
So
EMT pay would be roughly 56 to 60. And I have the hard numbers if you want me to pull them out. I can give
No,
them to you.
I'll just use 60, I'll just use
Okay.
round numbers.
Okay.
So I was confused because I thought you said one of the communities was like 80,000. You said another was 100.
Mm-hmm.
Was that for medic?
Yes, yeah, everything I'm talking about is medics.
And so why when you said we would need to raise our pay, did you say 28?
Because our
That's where we're at now?
No, our current medic pay is $22.
Okay, so even at 28 though, we're well below 80.
Yes.
Okay. My question was about your OT. You said, I understand what you're saying, like you have to assume a large amount of overtime for these folks. What is a large, just like roughly, is it, you know, you work 2,000 hours of regular time, is it another 500 hours of OT? Is it another 1,000?
So your 24-hour shifts, I mean, you guys know offhand is how many hours per month?
Okay, I got the numbers right here. So if you pay an EMT $22 an hour, their base pay per week would be $880. These are gross numbers. The first week, their overtime would be $264. Week number 2, $880 is base pay. Overtime pay would be $1,056.
Can you tell me, just if you have it, if you don't have it, that's fine. Over that full year, like how many OT hours would that person have? If you don't have it, that's fine.
I don't have the hours.
That's
I
all
didn't
right.
do the hours. I did number.
Okay, that's fine.
dollar
That's
amounts.
fine.
So they would make about their base wage would be $45,760, and they would get another $15,000 to $16,000 in overtime, probably more than that.
Well, that's good. That just gives me some proportionality.
Yeah.
That's all I was trying to figure
Say
out.
those two numbers again, I'm sorry.
$45,760,
Plus 16.
yeah. And I think the overtime would be a little bit more than that.
That's all I was looking for, was like
Okay.
proportionality.
Yeah, medic at $28, their base pay would be $1120 per week. The first week would be $336 in overtime. The second week would be $13.44 in overtime, and then that would rotate back and forth as they go through the schedule.
Eric, back to your question, you asked us hours. We work in a 28-day period, our base salary is off of 212 hours. So for this, for 207K, non-exempt would be 160. So you're looking at 52 minimum, 52 hours of time minimum in 28 days.
Right.
To match with us.
Right, okay, thank you. I'm assuming
Yeah, it's like-
sometimes a time and a half.
Yeah.
It's like,
And
yeah,
they hit it at
it's like
40 hours
600
for
extra
guys.
hours. I think it's like 600 extra hours maybe a year. OT hours.
And this is, I just don't know, so what separates a civilian EMS out of the 207 kid?
There's three things they have to do. They have to be trained as a firefighter. They
So
have
it's
to,
a firefighter that takes, okay.
yeah, that's the key to it. And they have to be dispatched as a firefighter on calls.
Okay. I mean, theoretically, that if you were gonna go this route, instead of hiring what we do today and doing overtime, I mean, you could add extra people, theoretically.
Theoretically, yes.
I don't know how viable that is, but, and it would be more
If
cost
you-
effective to add additional heads.
Yeah, if you think back to the 2024 council retreat, when I presented the numbers on how many people are actually out there, in the state of Indiana, you know, there were 4,500 medics for the whole state. There's about 12,000 EMTs. So there's more EMTs than there are medics, obviously. And there's a lot of people, a lot of medics, a lot of EMTs who don't want to work on the fire side. So they work for services that, you know, on the civilian side.
Going to cost, you also have to include, if you hire more heads, you got to think about benefits and stuff like that too. Just
Yeah,
throwing it out there.
no, I completely agree.
Yeah.
It's a balance between overtime and.
Absolutely.
Yep. So the cost of that program would be about 1.25 million.
So that's with two medics.
No, that's an EMT and a medic.
Okay.
Yeah, EMT and medic.
So every time that ambulance will go out, there'd be one of each.
Correct.
Understood. Thank you.
Questions about that?
I mean, just to finish thoughts in my head,
Okay.
and this Mr. Woods with numbers. Just to finish that thought in my head though, I mean, if it's 880 a person, regular time, and you're doing, what was it, 1,300 overtime the second week?
For the EMT, dollar-wise, it would be 1,056.
I thought there was one that was like 1,300 or something.
That's the medic. Yeah, medic's 1344.
So 880 versus 1344, so $450.
Well, 880 is the base salary.
If you brought in another person, if you could get additional staff.
Yes.
So 450 for that.
Yeah,
one.
yeah.
So roughly $900 a month. Because you did 2 weeks, you talked about 2 weeks. so-
Yeah, I set it up on what the pay rotation is.
It's just something to think about. I'm not saying it's right, wrong, or indifferent, I'm just. talking.
Chief, we talked about 45K plus 16 to 20 in OT.
Mm-hmm.
That's based on what hourly?
That's on a $22 an hour.
So that's the current hourly.
No, EMT rate right now is $17.50.
Jesus. Okay. So that's a 22, but you said really to be competitive, we probably need to be at 28.
28 is where the medic needs to be to even start to be competitive, and we're at 22.
22 is competitive for an EMT.
And 28 is competitive for a medic.
My base pay is 30 base. Start throwing incentive pays. I'll probably be able to make 60 an hour.
How much? 60?
That's a medic in the hospital.
Yeah.
I mean, no municipality is going to compete with a hospital.
Right.
There's no way, no how. Carmel's not doing
Scenario number 2, we had 3 firefighters and 1 additional PRN position. So this is kind of the middle ground of all the 3 scenarios. It meets the IO staffing most of the time. There's no guarantee it's going to be 100%.
Essentially, we get one instance, my takeaway, and I'm reading outside the lines maybe a little bit, we get one instance a year, assuming those run rates was my takeaway, to not meet that.
I think so. I thought she said something about five runs or less.
So
Yeah, there was.
We're at 14. 5 runs or less, you have to be at 100%. Above 5, you're on a gray line. I mean, you're skirting a gray line. That target should always be to have 4 on the run.
Yeah. My fear is, I'm just gonna throw it out there. My fear is if we cut corners and we get burned, they're not gonna give us another chance.
But my intention is not to cut corners. My intention is to get 4 people out the door.
And I'm glad to hear that. I just wanted to throw that out there. That's the concern I've got after conversations with her. So. Let's see, retains dual role firefighters, EMS for flexibility. The problem we have is the PRN schedule. So right now, this month we lost approximately 5 of our part-timers. So
Why?
Because they can go to their day jobs for overtime and make 3 times what they would make here. And they also, they're younger folks, they have families, they don't want to be working as much. So that took the roster down to basically 13 people. 2 of those are medics and 11 of those are EMTs.
Say that again. 2 are medics and
11 are EMTs.
so we're already using EMTs.
Oh, we have been for years. Yeah.
We have 13 part-timers now.
Yes.
How many did we have 2 years ago? Ballpark.
17 to 20.
So until now, that was relatively stable for at least a couple years.
Mm-hmm. It had been for several years. Years ago, when we first started the program, we had people that were, what did we call them? Taylor DeBon was one of them. They were assigned to a shift as a part-timer. So, we had a term for it, but I don't remember what it was now. But anyway, we had a group of part-timers that were assigned to shifts, and they worked with the same people all the time.
But those were typical, because I was one of those, it was typically your young guys who weren't on a career department yet. When they started getting on career departments, that's when we started losing them.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it was a constant revolving door of these 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who were just trying to get our foot.
Trying to get started, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you say they go work their other jobs, are they full-time firefighters somewhere else, or they have other jobs?
Most of them are full-time firefighters other places.
Okay.
So this 978, that's at 28 and 22, or that's at 1750 and 22?
Do what now?
This 978,000 per scenario.
That was at our wages today. And last month alone, we had 176 hours of part-time shifts that went unfilled.
So we don't have any PRNs that are firefighter medics?
They're all firefighter EMTs or firefighter medics.
Okay, so then what if we went with, just asking the question, if we went with, okay, so that makes sense then, a civilian. So that PRN as a civilian.
We had those for a while, and the problem we ran into was we would be short-staffed on the fire side because we have minimum staffing levels today of 3. So the problem is if you bring in a part-timer who's a medic only, you can't put them on the fire truck.
I mean, it makes it much more important of planning, scheduling that planning.
And yeah, the guys do a really good job of trying to get that taken care of.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we're all in a tough situation here, right? We're looking at options.
I have questions. You said we had how many shifts or hours that went unfilled?
Last month, 176.
Wait, last month?
Last month.
176 what?
Hours.
I thought you said last year.
No, it's in the thousands for last year.
Is it easier if we increased our salary a little bit to get civil medics or civil EMTs in the door?
It would help.
Yeah, because if you go on if we're talking about option one, where we go civilian side, you do open up your pool of the very limited medics, especially, that are in the state, because a lot of them don't want to be on the fire side. So
No,
yeah,
sorry, go ahead, I'm sorry.
so I was just saying, so yes, you do open your pool to more people, and obviously paying more is gonna be more enticing.
I mean, even with this option scenario too, you could do that.
You could,
Yeah, and
yes.
when Chris was on the council, he and I talked about that in great depth.
I have another question about part-timers.
Uh-huh.
Do they just pick up shifts? Are they assigned certain shifts? Do they have a
just pick 'em-
minimum?
No, they have to do one shift a month.
24 hours.
Yeah, 24 hours a month, but then they sign up when they can.
And so these 176 hours, those were available, but they either didn't want it or it didn't work for their schedule or whatever.
Correct,
So there's
yeah.
so it's really hard to plan around them under this structure because
Correct.
you can't really mandate that they come
Right.
in. And I assume if you tried to mandate that they have, then they're just gonna be like, well, I'm just not gonna do it, or they'll go do it somewhere else.
Yeah.
Or you gotta start looking at making them benefited employees.
Right.
Right.
So I'm sorry, say that again, you have to make them benefit employees if they work more than one shift a month?
If you start mandating,
Oh, mandate.
Mandate.
yeah, mandating you're gonna work this shift, yeah. Cause that's what we ran into with volunteers.
Yeah.
But I guess, just a question, like if I work part-time at Target, they still tell me when to show up and when not to. Is it different under firefighter rules or?
Not rules per se, but the way it's always worked.
Okay, and that's fine, that's a fine
It's
answer.
like Travis said, if I start mandating people have to come in,
Yeah,
they're not gonna come in.
It
Yeah.
doesn't mean I can't call you and say, hey, Jacob,
yeah.
Oh, yeah,
no.
and-
I was just trying to understand if there was like a separate,
Yeah.
or if that's just kind of like, that's how the industry works and that's an acceptable answer.
Yeah, and just like you said, hey, will you come in, please? We need some help. Yeah, the guys take care of that and they do that almost all the time.
So we did away with the volunteer program because we weren't running it correctly. What if we did and opened it up and see what happens? I mean,
We can try. I'm willing to
Sure.
try anything.
And
but
I don't know why we
I'm-
don't. It's
I'm just
free.
letting you
It's
know,
free.
it will fail miserably because there are no volunteers.
Sorry.
Part-
They are just not available anymore. If you look at every department that's volunteer anywhere within the.
I see this, it tells me approximately 65 to 70% of firefighters in the United States are volunteers.
That's correct.
That's certified. There are entire states that do mostly volunteer.
But what if we ran it correctly? What, we did away with it because we weren't managing it correctly. What if we, I don't know, try.
I can say, as the training guy, it takes about 6 months, 4 to 6 months for a full-time career department to put a candidate through an academy. That is, let's see, 40 hours a week times 6 months. How many hours is that? That I will not be available to
But after that, you will be.
until they leave for a full-time department.
But,
And we have to train somebody
okay,
else.
but it's volunteer, they know they're not getting paid anyway, they're not in it for the money.
Are you gonna-
There are people, hang on, I got the floor. What if people do care about this community, and I just said, I don't know if it'll work or not, I just said, try. Because we did away with it, not the people. We did away with it because we weren't running it correctly. What if we did? Just saying, that's just my thoughts, it may not work.
I've been fire chief of a volunteer department, that has transitioned to a paid department, because at one point we got down to 3 volunteers and we not run the fire department.
You still had three, you still had three. You still had them.
Three is not necessarily our problem.
Oh, I just think it'd be worth
Here's-
looking into.
Here's the key to that. You can't dictate when they have to be on station.
True, yeah, but they know
So-
that.
But here's the thing, if you start relying on them for ISO response, Nobody says they have to show up.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you're spending a couple $100,000 to have a volunteer program, and you don't know if they're gonna show up or not, which does nothing to solve the problem we're in today.
And when I grew up, our town had a volunteer
Mine too,
department,
mine was.
and it worked well, but everyone worked in town, and people don't work in town anymore. And so I remember people would close their shops, close their stores, jump on the fire truck, but most people work out of town, or they don't want that extra responsibility when they can work a regular job.
A lot of the volunteers are now, it's the younger generation, it's the 18 to 21s that do not have these fire certs. So they're getting on these volunteer departments to get these certifications. And then,
To then take off and get hired somewhere
Well,
else.
we have that with
All
police too.
over.
That's not just for Cicero, that's everywhere.
No, that's,
That's not a problem just here
yeah,
though.
that was a big thing when we had the volunteer program, was a lot of them would, like you said, they would get the certs and then they would go to Noblesville or wherever.
And you do that, but you put it in a contract.
You can't contract it.
If you leave within a certain amount, they have to pay you. Isn't that what we're doing with the police department
No,
now?
you can't do that with volunteers. I've already run that by Aaron, so.
Okay, so scenario two, theoretically, you could use civilian deodorant.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Any other questions about that one? Scenario 3, add 6 firefighters and maintain the current PRN position. Pros of this is it gives us full ISO compliance, strong redundancy, reliability in the full-time staff, improves morale and sustainability. Cons, recruitment of 6 firefighters may be difficult because this county is getting ready to hire 200 firefighters next year between all the departments. And that trend will probably continue.
So again, we're focused on firefighters. If we, read my hair wrong up there.
That's what happened to me.
If, I mean, we don't have to focus on firefighters. We have 2 firefighters per ambulance today that you could ship with it. I bet you get the, if there's only 9.
Yeah, it's the same
So
crew. We
you
have
still have to get 1 firefighter in, but then you could use civic,
civilians.
whatever it's called, yes, you know what I mean? Thank you.
You're welcome.
For the ambulance.
Mhm.
I mean, the answer to this equation, or this question, in my eyes, is what do you do with the ambulance service?
Mhm.
It's pretty cut and clear what you have to do with the fire truck. You have to get 4 people to that thing. And in our situation, even though we got credit for 2.2 heads in 2017 for other departments being able to cover, it doesn't sound like that's realistic, because Noblesville only covers 50% of us.
Right.
So that's not a real option. So the only thing in mind that I see is what do you do with the ambulance service? So then that's, to me.
I
what
think
the
that's a big
discussion
part of
is.
it too.
I'm sorry, what was it?
I think that's a big part of the discussion. Because ISO cares about fire response.
Yeah,
That has to be dealt with. Our EMS affects that, but they're not necessarily the same issue.
And me sitting in this seat, I actually feel better about that, knowing that our fire department, our firefighters, the majority of the time, will be able to get to a person in town. Similarly to the ambulance being on a run today and having mutual aid have to come in, at least with the first start. If any of that makes sense.
At one time, mutual aid was lifetime services. If we can't return an ambulance to them in a lifetime service, they're probably gonna start charging us. That's been thrown out before too. Mutual aid is a lifetime trade back and forth, mutual aid. If we can't provide them an ambulance back, we're expecting them to come to our town all the time and transport our patients. There's gonna be a bill associated with that. Eventually.
My township support ourselves. Do you guys, I think I heard Jacob, do you guys agree the solution seems to be from the ambulance side?
Just back to assuming that Jackson County would provide service. Is there the same situation?
Yeah, we don't know what we could do to work together, or if, what we're talking about, most of this isn't even leveraging them, correct? It is, how do you still figure it out with them? And we can always have discussions with them on ambulance service and how it works. At one time, we meaning Cicero, supported all of, it was the majority of Jackson Township and White River.
It was all of Jackson and all of White River. That's how I got my job here.
Was it?
So let me ask maybe a dumb question, probably is. If we change nothing, and by nothing I don't mean that we don't need more firefighters, because we do, because we have all these unfilled hours. But if there was always 4 people on shift, ready to respond, and we changed our procedure to say, when there's a structure fire, which is what we care about, right? Those 4 people are going to the scene. Meaning the ambulance is in the station and there's nobody at the station. Does that solve our ISO problem?
That's how it is now.
When the structure fire comes out, the fire district is paid from Cicero, the ambulance is cross man, so it's automatically marked out. So that's how it sits today.
I was told that every time there's a call, we send the 2 on the ambulance and 2 on the truck. Is that not correct?
Not on fire calls.
Not on fires.
So the problem is, Jacob, how many ambulance runs on, general, do you guys do a day?
So,
What's that, 2.5?
2.5, 3.
So 3 ambulance runs a day, if there's a fire during that time, then we don't have the 4.
I understand that, but we're talking about 1 structure call a month. And I understand we need to be at 100% and all that. I'm not arguing that. I'm just trying to understand if we had 4 people in the station all the time.
Those 4 would have to be on standby 100% of the time.
Correct.
Guaranteed.
So they could never take the ambulance anywhere.
Correct.
Yeah, they're already subtracted to automatically, you just don't know when the call's coming out.
Right.
So that's.
So again, to me, that reiterates that this EMS is just a huge piece of this equation. That is tangential to ISO, but it is not. ISO is a priority. I'm not saying EMS isn't a priority because it is too, but
Well, it's unfortunate, EMS is the priority for our community.
Absolutely.
That's our priority.
Yeah, it's 70+% of our run load.
But again, I'm just playing devil's advocate here. What happens if and to your point, this is unsustainable. If our ambulance is blacked out in the system, somebody else gets called, right?
Correct.
Not saying I support that, I'm just saying that's the way it works.
And so to kind of piggyback on that and go off what Christian said, so mutual aid, which is what we're kind of depending this one off of, right, is somebody else covering us when we don't have that option, right, our truck's out, whatever. The key term there is mutual. It is, we have to, for it to be a mutual aid agreement, we have to be able to provide that back to them when they are in that situation. So if we say we don't have an ambulance at all, then much like Jackson and White River used to have to do to us and pay us, we would have to pay them because we could not provide that mutual part of that agreement. If that makes sense, I explained it clearly.
Go ahead.
And is that an option?
What do those costs look like?
I have no idea.
I think that's an option too.
But that's the same thing. It's different than the private service, but it's contracting with someone else.
Does the
That's what we
Noblesville,
did a long time ago.
does the Noblesville station run EMS out of there? The one that's right
74?
here?
Yeah. They just put that ambulance in last year.
Just one, correct?
Just one.
So if we paid them a significant sum of money, would they run all our EMS?
No.
Why
because their EMS is gonna come first.
So if they have a call, we're out of luck. We can.
Yeah, but
their
that's the
sick
same thing with
person
us. If
is
we're on
sick.
a call and there's a second EMS call, we're out of luck. Same situation.
Yeah, but they will, so in the way it is now, they will send, if they have an available truck, they'll send it up here to help us on that second call, because turnabout, like today, I went to Noblesville to help them with a call because their ambulance was.
Yeah, but that's a mutual aid, so it's a trade-off. The trade-off would be we're handing you cash. That's the trade-off.
That's something that they would have to agree to.
Correct.
I can't speak to that.
Correct.
As a fire chief, if someone came to me and did that and said, hey, I'm gonna pay you cash to take care of it, this is my primary community. If I have time.
Yeah, but it doesn't change the dynamics of the fact that you can only take one call at a time.
Correct.
Doesn't matter where the truck's coming from. It matters from a time perspective. Other than that,
Mhm.
it's this call happened first, this call happened second, and if it happened second, then somebody else is coming. I'm not saying I support this. I'm just saying, like, this is,
No, it's good to talk about it, and we have a fire truck that the medics there already, you just can't transport so somebody gets sick. And again, I'm not advocating for that, I'm just talking through it.
yeah, I mean, I also agree with that, Eric. Like, just because the medics show up on a fire truck doesn't mean it's any different EMS service than if they show up on the ambulance.
Unless there's transport.
Transport's a problem, agree. From an equipment standpoint, is everything medically is it there different stuff on the ambulance that wouldn't be on the fire truck?
You would essentially have everything except the cot.
Like-
Some narcotic or whatever.
Yeah, we have all the drugs, we have all the.
Except the what?
Narcotics.
Hmm.
Or excuse me, no, the cot, the ambulance cot.
Yeah.
But as far as equipment goes and drugs go, yeah, it'd all be the same.
Again, I'm not saying I support any of or all of these ideas. I'm just saying we got $1 million problem. That's why I'm just
Yeah.
throwing all this stuff against the wall, because $1 million is a big problem.
I can kind of give you guys an idea too, what kind of happened with that. We did this same thing happened in Kokomo. We got rid of our 2 fire department ambulances in 2008. So they tried to get the hospitals to pick up their slack because the hospitals each had about 2 at a time. And they couldn't find them. So they got an add another, but they were only adding it randomly most of the time. We have, say, 4 ambulances available in all Alva County, 2 or 3 of them at a time, like Carroll County, Cass County, wherever they're doing whatever. So what you run into is this, I guarantee you. When you start missing ambulance runs and an engine is sitting on a medical scene for 10 minutes, 15 minutes waiting for an ambulance. What it turned into in Kokomo was a local site we had on Facebook, no hashtag, no medics available, and it became the cry of the community. It's still going on. It's just every time there's not a medic available or an ambulance to transport, there's a firefighter sitting on the scene taking care of mom or grandma or grandma, whatever. It's a cardiac arrest or something like that. It's a serious, that person sitting there for 2 minutes because they're waiting on it. It will be a cry out. I'm just, so be prepared because it is what it is. We're still dealing with it. And they've never done anything to really fix it, but it's just an ongoing issue.
And theoretically, you can have that happen here. I know one incident with a past council member that waited for a long period of time for an ambulance at their house.
But if they, it doesn't become an issue if they know it's just because more things are happening, but if they know it's because something is moved, that's when it becomes an issue. That's when we go.
Thank you, Phil. I guess I have another question. Is there, throughout the 24-hour period of time, is there times in the day where there are more runs over others?
Yes.
And that is morning and night, or morning and late evening?
Usually it's afternoon.
More runs or night?
Yeah, I could, give me a moment, I'll pull it up, Chuck. Jacob, we were talking about hours not covered.
Yes.
That's the spreadsheet that's up on the wall right there. Year-to-date hours that have been uncovered is 2,239.
I'd still be down here for overtime, Phil, and overtime.
Hey, Chief, just, why were these such good, still a lot of hours missed, but comparatively, why were those better? If you don't know, that's fine. I'm just curious if there was a reason.
It could be random, it could be vacation, you know, people don't take vacation in
Yeah,
February
right,
typically.
yeah.
You know, I could delve into a little.
No,
bit.
it doesn't matter. I was just curious.
Yeah.
Well, looking at those hours, if we're relying on PRN, you also have to consider to keep ourselves at this standard. Every one of those hours, if we can't get it filled with PRN, has to be filled with overtime. If we can't get it filled on a PRN standpoint, to keep ourselves at the ISO standard, if that makes sense.
Give me just a second, I'll look up your question that you had.
So our 2.84 number was based on automatic reporting to offer the ambulance.
No,
No.
it was based on
That's
the,
what we were able to respond with.
it was the volunteers that made the difference.
Now in 2025.
Oh, the new, sorry,
Yeah,
the
the
new
current.
number, sorry, yeah.
So
That was just
how
how those
was it?
14 runs, what we were able to respond with. It may have been because of an ambulance call on one or two, I can't tell you.
Well, we probably didn't have that. I mean, you might not have.
And we had an empty position for almost a year. Yeah, that's yeah.
Okay. So our busiest times, looking at this chart, are in the bright red. So Mondays at 10 o'clock, Tuesdays at 5 o'clock, Thursdays at 10 o'clock, and then Friday afternoons and Saturday afternoons. Just to give you an idea.
What runs are these?
These are all runs.
All runs.
This just counts the number of runs in an hour. Does that help answer your question? Our busiest run is lift assist. We've got 49 this year.
Wow.
Falls.
So no ambulance run, it's just.
No, it goes out as an ambulance run,
No,
but
I mean, but they don't.
they don't transport. Falls 47, sick person 43, breathing problems 30, car crashes 25.
Chris, you're gonna own this. I mean, you've heard all these discussions. Do you have any thoughts?
The ambulance, like I said, the ambulance thing is a decision that has to be made, kind of like the town council, it's just what service we run with them. If the ambulance does stay, the biggest concern I have is if we do it with part-time, we're not fixing that secondary problem of backfilling the two, we do civilian medics and EMTs fill the ambulance. They're not available to fill any fire department, firefighter hours. So they can't fill that forward, but all backfill, they're not able to do that.
So implementation timeline, of course, the meeting this evening. We have to have the plan to them on Wednesday. So we've got to have a direction by then. And it's gonna take me a day to put the plan together and get it on paper and get it out. Then we start looking at hiring, October-ish timeframe, start bringing some people in, maybe start them out as part-time, see if they fit in with us, and then move them over to a full-time status. And then hopefully by January, we're ready to go and we're gonna be 100% compliant.
When is the deadline for compliance? Well, is that January or is that June?
It should be May or June of next year, but we have to give quarterly reports of how are we progressing toward that. And she did say in the conversation that we had that she has the ability toward the end of things, if we're getting there and we're making progress, she has the ability to give us another couple of months before they post anything and it falls under her. She was very adamant about that. She's the one that makes the posting.
Yeah, we have to have good faith.
Right.
I think we all agree, getting 4 people on a fire, to the fire, right? So, I mean, we're committed to meeting her, I don't mean her, but those ISO requirements.
Right.
And it's one impact.
So next one up is some different funding options. I know we've all talked about these. I just wanted to go through them again to make sure we had conversation about it. You know, general fund, TIF funds can be used to hire the firefighters.
TIF, what TIF?
Any of the TIFs.
Yeah, we use on that one.
I know, but I had to put it in there. It's a change in the statute that they did a couple of years ago. Now, it's a one-time thing. You can't hire people and then go get TIF money and supplant it. You can't do that. You can use it to hire them and then move forward.
Was Tamarack TIF'd?
No, you don't typically TIF a residential area.
Oh, I know you don't typically do it, but it's about to start happening.
Yeah.
I mean, it's happening. It's not gonna be us that starts it, but somebody's gonna start doing it.
It shouldn't be done, because that impacts the schools and everybody else.
I agree, man, but
So from the redevelopment commission, we just need to vote no and let them fight back in court.
So tell me again, Lance, what you just said. No, we don't have TIF money really anyway, but you believe that you can use TIF to hire people, but you can't use it to pay them long-term?
No, you can use TIF money and it's a change to the statute. And forgive me, I don't have the statute.
No, that's all right, yeah.
But I researched that and I also spoke with Dan about it. You can take TIF money because fire departments are now considered infrastructure.
Yeah.
And you can initially hire firefighters with that money. You can't hire them today and then use TIF money next year to pay them. It's only for the hiring side of it.
Okay.
So you could do an initial hire and then the next year roll them over onto a normal payroll, if that makes sense.
so
Yeah.
would that be the end of the calendar year that becomes no longer a new hire? So if you hire them in January, you could pay them from TIF through December?
Theoretically, yes.
So, and then the next January, they're on your payroll.
Correct.
And not from TIF funds.
Correct.
I mean, I've seen TIF used a lot for public safety. I've never knew of that like nuance. So.
Yeah, it's a change that just happened a couple of years ago. And I did get Aaron involved in that conversation.
And again, I think ultimately TIF is not the sustainable answer here. I mean, I appreciate you putting it on here because it is relevant,
Sure.
but that's not a long-term solution either.
Well,
No, but if
haven't
it
we-
get us
haven't
1
we used
year.
our TIF?
Pardon me?
Haven't we used our TIF?
Yes.
So it's no longer available for this?
Not really,
There's very little left, I believe, right?
correct.
Public safety local income tax, is that something you were talking about earlier, Joe?
Yeah, but that's at the county level, and the county essentially would support Cicero and Arcadia with that public safety lit. But I guess I have a question. The fact is, if the county puts that public safety lit in place, can we still do it? And can there be two public
So,
safety
yeah,
lit?
so I sent an email. I didn't send it till like 6 o'clock, so you guys probably haven't had a chance to review it. So, there's a summary in there from AIM. There's a summary in there from Baker Tilly, which I think are good to review. So saying that Cicero can do a public safety lit, I believe is incorrect terminology. So I believe cities and towns under the new law, you can adopt a lit. We're gonna have the option to adopt a lit, which I think would start in 2028. It's just a lit. That's my belief, is it's just a lit. Maximum lit for cities and towns, I think, is 1.2%. At the county level, there is a very specific public safety lit, which I think is 0.4%, if I believe correctly. And then there's a formula in Senate Bill 1 that says when that is collected, if they do it, and I think it's a maximum of 4. Is that right? Or is it just 4?
No, I believe that it's a
It's probably
max,
a
because like our
maximum.
PSAP lit now is .01.
So, and you can feel free to correct me if I have any of this wrong. This is just what I was reading today. If the county were to adopt that, the statute lays out how that is distributed. And there's a big formula, which I put in the email. It's based on your population, your square miles, all that kind of stuff. So if the county adopted it, I believe that yes, it would definitely be shared with the cities and towns based on this formula. I don't think they could just put it in place and keep it. But somebody would have to understand this formula, which I just found today, so I haven't run the numbers, but to say, okay, if the county collected $5 million, right? Like, what do we get? Somebody would have to work through that
We've got
formula.
it at 1.3. The union's already done that math. Cicero will see 1.3 at a 0.4%.
Okay.
And that.
Do they have a report on that we can see? I'd love to see it if they have it.
And that would not impacting revenues until 28?
I believe that's correct.
Christian's at 2028.
Yeah.
I think you adopt in,
I think we would actually get.
yeah. Yeah, you adopt in 27, and I think the revenue starts in 28. But again, and I think something will happen there. It's, the county's, sounds like is very strongly looking at that. All these lits are gonna be unpopular. If we wanna put a lit in, it's gonna be unpopular. County's gonna be unpopular. Do I think some things, that those things will happen to some extent? Yeah, will it be 0.4, will it be 0.2? I don't know.
Have you heard any feedback about the county, through the union, if they're doing it?
I have, other than the county is gonna probably come to the cities and towns and look for their support.
Okay.
So, hey, we're willing to put in this county lit if you, cities and towns, are also willing to take the hit and do municipal lit.
Kind of like what they did with the PSAP.
So that we're all taking the hit rather than just one governmental entity.
Okay. I mean, that still leaves us with a 2-year gap.
And again, you guys kind of look at this just to round out this discussion. Under the new law, there's a 2.9 maximum lit in any county. The county portion is 1.7 max. That's 1.2 for county services, 0.4 for fire. And then they can do a 0.2, which goes to non-taxing authorities, which I forget what that is, maybe like libraries and stuff like that. And then, since we have more than 3,500 people, we Cicero can adopt a 1.2 max of our own. So 1.7 at the county, 1.2 at the municipal. So any taxpayer's maximum lit would be 2.9. And it's my belief the 1.2 maximum for Cicero is just, it's a general revenue source. I don't think it's tied to anything.
I don't think it's tied to anything either, but I think it's 1.2.
1.2 is the max for a city or town, yes. So 1.2 is city or town plus max of 1.7 county.
Safer grant, we could look at that, but you can't supplant current hires. It's only for new hire people. and that pays over a 3-year period. It covers their salaries, wages, benefits, turnout gear, training, all that stuff. And then the town would assume the 4th year, 100%.
Is it 100% for 3 years, or does it?
No, it's
graduate?
stepped down.
Yeah.
It's 100% the first year, 70% the second.
They've just recently changed it.
Yeah, that's why I don't remember the numbers now, but it's a step down.
I thought it was.
And it's for people meeting that 207K or?
You can hire people off the street and train them to become firefighters.
If they have
So it's for firefighters?
Yes, it's for firefighters, yes,
Okay.
yes.
And I think we would apply in 26, and if we got it, we'd see revenue in 27, is that correct?
Correct, but it's
Yes.
only for new hires. You can't use that money for people that are already on the payroll.
But that would include lateral transfers, right?
Yes.
Once they're employed with you, they are not eligible for safer grant money. The only thing you can do if you have a PRN person who's a sworn firefighter or is a firefighter, you can ramp them up to a full-time position, but it's still just like hiring a new person.
Yeah.
Doesn't really add any value, it's just how the only thing that says beyond a new hire.
And are those regularly awarded, that safer grant?
There's, just like the AFG grants, there's a whole series of things you have to go through. They look at, revenue streams, they look at, are you meeting a standard, which is an NFPA standard? So if we were to put in for one person, we probably would not get it. If we put in for 6 of them, yeah, we can probably get it, because it's moving us toward that standard. But
The
it's,
standard is 4 per truck or 4 per fire.
well, that's ISO. There's a whole nother set of standards for NFPA, and that's what the safer grants are looking at, is the NFPA standard.
But that might be something to think about if we do annex out and we need another fire station.
Oh, yeah, for
and
sure.
more
If you're looking at another
firefighters.
station, absolutely. You have a great chance of getting it.
So what we're talking now, safer grant?
No,
is
but
an
I-
option.
It's not right now, because you wouldn't, even if we could apply for it today, which we can't, the window's already closed, it wouldn't be awarded until next October.
For fiscal year 2027.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Reallocation of existing EMS revenue, there's not a lot there, but we might be able to move it.
What do we do with it now?
It goes into a non-reverting fund, and we pay the ambulance payments, we pay for cardiac monitors, we pay for all the drugs. Basically, everything outside of labor runs the ambulance service is done through that non-reverting fund. And there's currently about $352,000 in that fund. But the thing to remember is we've got a new ambulance coming in May of next year.
And I can get those out and those 500K.
Yeah, 450. 454 is what the quote was.
Because you were gonna put a large chunk down
Yeah,
there.
yeah, that was the plan.
I mean, so theoretically, we could go with scenario 2, hire 3 firefighters, apply for the safer grant, take that PRN on, and the following year, add 3 more firefighters under that safer grant, right?
If you got the safer grant,
If we got the safer.
if you got the grant,
Well, we're still covered with scenario 2, working towards
not 100% of the time.
scenario 3.
Not 100% of the time.
I meant from an ISO standpoint.
Not, again, from an ISO standpoint, no, we're not.
Okay, why is it even an option?
Yeah, why is it an option?
Because I wanted to give you guys all the options we talked about.
Is the question with 3, if we still keep the ambulance, then no, it's not. Right? Is that what?
Well, I'm basically talking progressively working towards scenario 3 by starting with scenario 2.
But, what I think the way, what you're answering is, scenario 2 wouldn't staff the fire truck and the ambulance, right? It would
Correct.
get very close to staffing the fire truck with 4. It wouldn't get us the fire truck and the ambulance staff at all.
Yeah, if
It
you
would
had
be
somebody,
basically hunting the ambulance.
yeah, if you you had somebody call off for a day, the ambulance would go out of service.
Or have to be back until,
Yeah.
keep the ambulance.
So, yes, it is an option to hit it, but there's gonna be additional costs because you're gonna have to backfill and everything.
Yeah,
else.
but what we need to know is what those additional costs are, and does it outweigh scenario 3?
I mean, you can't really predict that 100% because, I mean, right now, I've never taken a sick day, but that's not to say that next year I catch pneumonia and have to miss 3 or 4 days. So you can't 100% predict that. I do believe he did try to account for a lot of that based off of one of the first 2 slides. He did account for a lot of that, the sick time, vacation, in these numbers you're seeing here.
Yeah, that's in there.
But we also can't predict that PRN person. Are we gonna fill it? Are we gonna have 100 hours that month, or are we gonna have 400 hours that month? That's a toss-up. That's gonna be a huge difference right there.
So these numbers are kind of the answer to your question, I think, Rick. So at 12 firefighters, 12 full-time firefighters, I have 3 people in Kern County. You're gonna get to the point where we fill all the overtime, all the PRN shifts, which is kind of an average of what they work. Subtract that, time off, and then add in the time that they work with 12 firefighters. We're gonna fall 21,456 hours short to do 6 positions. This is, everything I'm telling you is still in 6 positions. So the number that's 894 overtime shifts per year that have to be filled. I mean, that's just, to try to plan that out, it's just, I don't even know that that's even possible. At 15, which is higher than 6, but these are all with all 6 positions filled every day. You're looking at 570 overtime shifts that still have to be filled at that point. So like, there's a large gap that has to be filled. So the 570 shifts would have to be filled between the 15 firefighters. The 894 shifts would have to be filled between 12 firefighters. So as you go up, you're getting more in a situation where it's feasible to cancel those shifts. Dividing it by 15 is way better than dividing that larger number by 12. The smaller number by 15 is opposed to the larger number by 12. So those kind of give you the idea of how many you're going to have to fill based on how many you hire full-time.
Thank you.
That's very excessive. As you go up the list, the less firefighters. And that's when we're talking about 6. Having 52,560 hours a year. That's how many hours it takes plus 6 seats per year.
And when you're talking about, we talked about vacation time and sick time and all that. When you look at just those numbers alone, plus the additional fill-in shift, that's 16,460 hours that have to be filled. Over and above of what we're doing today.
Right.
Is that if all of your guys take all the sick time allotted,
No, that's just taking 5 days.
5 days?
Yeah,
Okay.
and traditionally, our guys don't burn sick.
I know, that's what I was gonna say,
Yeah.
they just don't.
Yeah, we
so.
just don't burn sick days. But I figured all their vacation hours, which is 4,680,
Mhm.
5 sick days per person, which is 1,800 hours. Military time, 480 hours. Off-station training, 750 hours.
Yeah, I saw those numbers.
And the additional fill-in shift is 8,750 hours. So that's where the 16,460 comes from.
So, military, we have several,
One,
and that's 480 hours.
yes.
All right, so in my head, I think we have two things that we have to seriously look at is outsourcing the ambulance service. Again, I'm just talking out loud. See what that looks like. I think we need to talk to Jackson Township and see if there's a mechanism to maybe share ambulance services. Some periods of time there's 2 in service. Maybe there's some periods of time there's 1 in service. So I will have that discussion with them tomorrow morning and just reach a discussion. The commitment is then you would have, right now we 4, at least from the planning, so it'd be at 3. I don't know what that cost would be. I think I heard 120K, so roughly 360.
Roughly, yeah.
And then if either of those ambulance services don't work or bring in part-time help under the civilian medic and EMT, to me, they're different departments. From now on, we're forced to make those different departments in my eyes, and they have to be managed separately. It's unfortunate, but that's the position that's what I'm thinking.
Sorry, can you just say about the different departments?
Your EMT service, ambulance service versus fire fighting are different. I mean, does that seem reasonable? Tough decisions have to be made. I mean, it's.
Well, being old, it scares me to know that what we're gonna end up with is subservice conditioning on medical runs, because if Jackson Township, if we have to wait, if someone, let's say, falls and breaks their neck, and we've got to wait for Jackson Township to come and scoop them up and transport them, that just, to me, is very, very concerning because of the care that we should be giving to our taxpayers.
So our fire department is there, who are trained medics with trained gear. On an average run, how long do you spend at the facility?
At the hospital,
No, at
On scene.
On scene, yes.
I would say average is 15 or 20 minutes. Average. That's obviously a moving target depending on what the call type is.
I understand.
I would say average is probably 15 or 20 minutes.
Cardiac arrest is what, 5 minutes, 8 minutes?
Half hour.
Yeah.
Cardiac arrest is longer.
Yes, we stay on scene, we work on scene now.
Yeah, but like a trauma, for example, we're getting out of the bed quick.
I'm sorry, I
A
don't
trauma,
understand.
so, for example, everybody knows about what happened at the boathouse a couple years ago, somebody fell off, had a head bleed, everything like that.
Okay.
We were on scene for less than 5 minutes, and that was life or death. Those 5, like, us being out there that quick was legitimately life or death, like, not trying to be crazy or anything. Like, had we waited 5 more minutes, the guy would have died.
So it's those trauma.
The trauma-related ones are the big ones, yeah.
So my point to that, Emily, is minus, I don't want to say that, I guess there's a high percentage that would allow time for a transfer service to be there.
Is the ambulance, in that scenario, if the ambulance was coming from Jackson Township, would it be dispatched at the same time you guys were dispatched? So theoretically, you would be given initial care while it was en route.
Yes, but again, we're talking, I mean, from Jackson to the boathouse, even from Vernon, you're talking
10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'm not trying to exaggerate at all when I say that one specifically sticks out in my head. Life or death, like, we got him to the hospital, put him on their bed, and he coded, and because the hospital can do more than we can, they were able to get it back. But within 30 seconds of him getting on bed, if that, he coded. So, yes, that 5 minutes, again, we're talking small percentages, but it can make a massive difference.
Yeah, and I don't even know Jackson Township would even entertain a discussion like that. Yeah, I mean, they're in the same situation where
Yeah.
we as a community have to figure out how to work together.
And it might be the same way. They may be concerned because if we're gonna share a service, they may be concerned that when they make the call, someone's gonna have to come from Cicero all the way to Jackson Township.
I mean, we've done that in the past.
Yeah.
That happens quite regularly,
Yeah.
both ways.
Yeah.
Both ways.
Okay.
I wanna throw one more thing so you have all the information, okay? If that ambulance shows up and there are only 2 EMTs on that ambulance, okay? And it's an ALS call, advanced life support call, our medic will have to get off of the fire truck and go on that ambulance, which puts us out of ISO compliance.
I think that you're out only if there's a call. The plan would be.
But I wanted you to understand.
Yeah, I understand that. The plan would be to try to have a medic in the EMT.
Correct.
That would be the plan.
Correct. I'm saying if an outside ambulance comes in. So say Jackson is short-staffed and they have 2 EMTs.
Yes, yep.
Just be aware
Yeah.
that situation can happen pretty easily.
And that is important, that kind of gets back into what we were talking about earlier, the concern with that is if we did do civilian medics and EMTs, if you're probably gonna have a better time finding younger EMTs possibly, but am I right on this, that medics are gonna be much harder? So that what you run into then is anytime that would happen and you would need to have a medic jump over the fire truck, we can't take those EMTs and jump over. So, you know what I mean, it's, you got a one-way flow of personnel, and all of the, all 9 of them. So all 9 people can jump over onto that ambulance, but we can't do that.
So I think, I mean, this is gonna be learning over time, correct? So we're gonna have to put a plan in place. If we see gaps, we will have to adjust over time. I mean, our intent is to get 4 people to those fires. And I would find it hard to believe that everybody in this position that puts a plan in place hits it perfect every time.